welcome back to the European LCS. Now gearing up on stage behind us are Fnatic and Elements, whose playoffs hopes are still alive after the Giants' awesome win over the Wolves in game number 1. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at those standings as they stand right now. Elements could tie Copenhagen Wolves with a win here, forcing an overtime play.
They have to beat Fnatic now. If they lose, however, and Rocket wins later, then Elements and Rocket will be tied, and they're going to be fight to avoid promotion tournament, obviously. Giants now with that win as well, forcing Meteor Makers to win, otherwise they are out of the LCS completely. Yeah,
they effectively say, your move, can you come back to it? But let's go back to this game now. Let's focus on Fnatic. That's going to be Huni in the top lane, Rainover in the jungle, Febivin the mid, AD carry, Steelback support, Yellowstar, the coach you heard from earlier, Daylor. They may not have much to play for here, but as he said, they're going to try anyways.
Of course they're going to try. He did, however, say there was more prep for the game yesterday against H2K. That showed, because that was a very convincing win, honestly. There was never really any doubt here if Fnatic were going to take that game or not. 5.5 as a patch just really seems to fit these players here. We see Huni play Hecarim in the top lane. We have loads of engage options still for, obviously, the jungle, for the support. And Febivin just has loads of different champions in that mid lane. So 5.5 really works for them. And their aggressive kill style. H2K yesterday tried to take the towers. Fnatic said, you know what, we're just going to take the kills. And they got a big item lead. And Huni was absolutely insane.
And Huni was Huni.
Yeah. So,
100% kill participation in 25 minutes. I mean, this guy went absolutely crazy.
Insane. 6-1 and
even more.
6 on Hecarim.
He's tired from that performance yesterday. I would too. I would be too. 6-1-6. I mean, he just started off so many of those fights. Clearly the crowd favorite still here, and I can't wait to see what he plays next, to be honest.
No, I mean, I'm expecting Elements, obviously, to ban away that Hecarim, but will you leave Lissandra open for him? Will you give him Rumble? Those have been the two other big picks. Are you going to focus every single ban on Huni?
People have tried.
People have tried, yeah, but you can, avoid banning junglers now because there's so many good ones. So even if you give Sejuani over to Rainover, there are still loads of options for your own jungler to take. We've seen Nuno a few times already from Shook. So it's not like you have to focus ban a jungler, but we're going to have to see what Elements will do against Fnatic here.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Elements, they've got a little more on the line now. Let's take a look at their lineup. That means, of course, it is going to be Wicked in the top lane, Shook in the jungle, Frog in the mid, AD carry, Reckless support, Krepo, and their coach, Nif. A win here, as we said, it forces this tiebreaker. They really, really want to try and make it into the playoffs, and this is their chance. All on the line in this game.
And if they play like they did in the first 10 minutes yesterday, they can beat Fnatic.
But they got to play the whole game that way.
That's the problem, yeah. Krepo and Shook, they looked fantastic in the early game. I mean, Krepo walked in, got first blood on Frederick. It was such a nice setup. I looked like the kill participation for him as well on Elements. He's part of 80% of their kills overall, so he's nearly involved with everything they do. And of course, Shook in the jungle also had a good start, but the mid-game, it fell apart for them, honestly. It seemed like they didn't really know what to do. And once Pip and Arrow and this Twisted Fate started split pushing, there was no real answer. Elements got caught out 5 versus 4 a few times, and they had a base race in the end. So if you have a weak mid-game, like they did against Giants yesterday, and if you have that against Fnatic, probably the best team in the mid-game right now in Europe,
it's troubling.
It's not going to look great for you. But we're going to have to see if Elements can step it up. They tend to do well when they face the top teams. I mean, they beat H2K fairly convincingly.
That's very true. I mean, it's kind of hard to know what to expect out of Elements because they've been a team that's definitely had not only their struggles, but they've had some incredible victories as well. So we'll see what they can do here. Obviously, you say sometimes maybe when your back's against the wall, it's when everything comes out. Giants certainly showed that last time in that last game. We'll see if Elements can do it here as we get into picks and bans.
And we get to see if Huni is going to be the target with the bans. First one is Annie. That's obviously a Yellowstar ban. So far, Hecarim is still open for him. Very standard bans against Elements here. Some of the champions we talked about, they fit Elements really well. Maokai top lane, even Lulu top lane for Wicked. Very clear Fnatic's looking towards him. And now Elements with this Hecarim is looking towards Huni. So a lot of top lane bans coming in.
Yes, indeed. Taking their time after the seconds have gone in. There we go. There's a Karthus ban against Froggen. See what Elements do. Answer with it to Zed.
Rumble is open now.
Yes.
And Lissandra as well, which has been a go-to pick often for Fnatic because they can flex it and put it in the mid lane.
Is LeBlanc.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times. When you ban away Zed, it opens up for LeBlanc, but Lissandra is a pretty good matchup into her. Froggen has played it as well. We've seen Elements run this like kill combo in the mid lane where Froggen plays Lissandra and then you get an earlier jungler on Shook and they just camp that mid lane. I mean, there's barely anything you can do once Lissandra hits level 6. That could be a strategy for Elements into the LeBlanc. as Lissandra does well. Also, you're going to have to see. I mean, Lulu is another pick in the mid lane you can take in, but she's banned away and not really a frockin' pick if you look at the last few weeks for him.
Yeah, it's very true. I feel like they have some options. I think Lissandra's a smart choice just because it's a flex pick for them, and it does do well if they do want to take it mid. It has been, slightly getting weaker. We've had a lot of players talk about that.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're going to go a little more comfortable this time. The Lee Sin for Shook and a Sivir lock-in for Reckless.
The key thing here is, obviously, you take Sivir away from Fnatic. It's a champion they love to play with these all-in engaged competitions in the mid-game, but Graves is still open for Steelback, which has been his go-to AD carry otherwise. The key one is Lee Sin, because Lee Sin is a champion that not a lot of junglers play anymore, but Shook still likes it because of the early plays he can make. And it's very easy to gank the mid lane if you have some sort of CC as well, to try and shut down this LeBlanc pick. We saw him do it against Twisted Fate yesterday against Giants from Element's side, and that's honestly why they picked that Lee Sin. It's purely to make plays in the early game, nothing else, and then look around for these picks where you can single out a target, you can kick him back with the Lee Sin, and that's where you get a kill.
They can pull that one off. They look like they have the makings of a chase composition. It's a little early to say, though. We'll see what they fill that one out with as Fnatic lets the timer tick down to the very end. They're going to lock in a Lucian and a Janna for Steelback and Yellow Star.
A bit of a new one for Steelback. Not going for that Graves this time around. Want a bit more late game power on the Lucian.
Yesterday, like that Lucian's sort of a Graves light right now.
Yeah, especially in the early to mid game, but late game I do prefer Lucian. More auto attack focused at least, which is great for the late game where Graves, his burst kind of falls off into these big tanks. They don't really care when you sit on 250 armor if Graves is shooting you in the face. It doesn't do a whole lot to you. But we can really see already with Elements, they are getting ready to try and counter the mid game from Fnatic, at least in terms of the first two picks they do have. They just cannot fall into that trap we've seen them fall in before, where they pick a full late game setup and just never get there. They did it against Gambit, lost on 26 minutes. They did it against SK Gaming, lost on about 30 minutes. That's really been the problem for them. Ahri is a good pickup. Again, it's still a lot of mid-game, a lot of roaming, a lot of pick potential. You got the Thresh as well, the main pick for Crepo, where he can walk around and make some plays. So really you get a setup for Elements here that's built around making picks in that mid-game. Where do you know Fnatic wants to fight you?
They can force Fnatic out of their comfort zone. Difficult to do, but if they can pull it off, look really good for them. The crowd's loving the Bard hovers today.
Not expecting a Jace either, unless they will go to the top lane. Febvran used to be a Jace player, but he's already got that LeBlanc for himself, so not exactly expecting that one. Fnatic obviously can see what Elements is building here and just needs things that can either duel them in the one-on-one or just massive amounts of hard engage for a big team fight. And you just go 5 on Fnatic's side and you just basically force objectives and force 5-on-5 fights where Elements won't be able to pick off targets for themselves.
Ah. Got a pair of Void Creatures.
Okay.
Cho'Gath locked in along with the Rek'Sai.
For the top lane then, for Huni. We saw Cho'Gath mid yesterday from Power of Evil and it didn't really do a whole lot. Top lane, it's a fantastic lane. Cho'Gath is super strong in the laning phase, but he has that problem in the late game or in big team fights. If you miss one of your abilities, there's a long cooldown on them to get ready. And you often have to like flash in and feast the target, because you are melee range obviously, which is a bit of a problem. But he has fantastic AP scalings, he has very high damage as well, just like base damage on his abilities, like 310 damage on Q.
And he gets inherently tanky too.
That as well, so there's a lot of things he can offer. But if you look at the mobility here from Elements, as long as they dodge around the Q from a Cho'Gath, it's going to be tough then for Rainover to really kill a target.
Comfort pick time for Wicked.
It is.
Only played it, I think, once this split so far, at the very beginning. He gets Aurelia again. Up against Huni's Cho'Gath.
Fits into the composition.
This time.
Loads of mid-game, loads of pick potential, one-on-one, 2v2 setups. Shook right now can just choose either lane and say, I can gank every single one. Aurelia, easy to gank for, especially if she gets a few ranked in her E early on for the longest stun. We know Ahri in the mid lane is a great setup, just land that charm, or force the distortion from LeBlanc, then you go in. Bottom lane, you get the Lantern. There's so many lanes here for Shook to gank. And as long as he doesn't go pre-level 6 and try and one-on-one the Rek'Sai, then he's going to be fine. After level 6, he can do pretty well against the Rek'Sai as well as in a one-on-one. And if you got that pressure in the lanes, your laners will come and help you. So that can be one of the strategies for Elements. And I really think they want to go for standard lanes just because Steelback and Yellowstar has been somewhat weak in the 2-on-2 lane. Crepo and Reckless should be able to match them one-on-one, and then you also get farm on your Aurelia to that Trinity Force.
Precisely. I feel like once it does hit that mid game, it's going to be very, very fast-paced and moving around the map. Both teams comps can really get mobile very quickly. But as we load into this game, go ahead and fire up your Twitters. Tweet us at LL Esports with the hashtag FNC win or EL win. Let us know who you think is going to come out ahead. We'll check in on what you see in just a little bit, guys. But now we're getting ready to load up. Playoff hopes on the line here for Elements. Fnatic, just hoping to have a good game. Let's get this one underway.
Let's get underway, Pyra. Elements, they have to win to tie the Copenhagen Walls. Wicked, not starting any items, just get the flask, no potions, I mean. Gonna do a camp at level 1, then go back, get himself most likely a ward, maybe an extra potion as well. On this Aurelia here and look for these standard lanes from Elements, and then as soon as the laning phase has been going on for a few minutes, that's where you can start sticking the roams from Crepo on this Thresh here. You can do a lot more roams than a Janna early on. Oh, Reckless. He's gonna find 2 guys down in the bottom lane.
Steelback face checking into him. He takes a little bit more damage there, and Febivin is actually gonna dash around.
He wants the ward on the Grump.
And he able to get out, no problem.
Just wanna see if Elements are starting there, because they're obviously expecting him to do Grump at level 1. A trick you can do on Thresh is you start Flay, and you can actually pull down the Grump to the small tri-bush behind your bottom lane tower, and you get it very close to the bush, and once you kill it, you have a shorter route back to lane. But hey, you might not get to see it just because of that ward here. You can see Elements are now going top lane, hoping that Fnatic is swapping up there, I would assume.
Looks like that is the plan.
Yeah, because otherwise you...
It's not the first time Elements have done it. They've definitely preferred to try and, on the red side especially.
Yeah. You can do Crooks as well, there's no ward on it, but it will mean for Wicked that he will be put into this lane swap, which is not great for Aurelia. She really needs a standard lane, she needs that farm early on. Of course he's going to do that camp, which will give him the level 2, but he's going to get denied otherwise, because Elements are right now expecting Fnatic to be on the top side. That's why they're doing Crooks as well. We'll soon get to realize that they are not on the top side.
Yep. So they go ahead and grab that one for the early level 2. Didn't quite finish it off. Steelback Yellowstar doing the same down on the bottom. Well, there's no one to really meet them in the lane, so we'll see the jungle buddy system happening. Actually, he's going to go ahead and back away. Should be able to teleport in after level 2, but not just yet. He decides to accompany Reignover through the jungle for just a bit while Wicked's on the Wolves.
Yeah, so no freeze in the lanes from the 280 carries. What you can do is you push in the first 2 waves, and then you bounce it on the tower. You get the tower to kill all your minions, and you simply freeze from there, but it's a lot harder to do. And the wave is being built up a lot closer to the enemy tower, so the top laner can't stand there and get XP. Otherwise, you just build up the wave, and you go down and you dive the top laner if he shows himself. Elements now are setting up on the top that they steal the buff, and once this wave up here hits the tower, if Huni teleports to that tower, he dies, because there's 4 guys from Elements up here, and they will go and kill him. So he's wisely enough just staying with his own jungler.
Yeah, Fnatic are doing just about the same thing in this situation, so it looks like potentially have a fast push, or we could just see the jungle continue to be traded back and forth. Wicked and Shook eyeballing the Gromp as they now decide to
both
make
teams
their way.
are sitting ready. They're waiting for the same thing to happen. They're waiting for the top laners to show themselves in this lane, and then you just go and kill them. Now, Elements knows 4 guys on the bottom side, so they can take this tower here, they can continue to double jungle and just take the tower with 2 players. That's fine. So no real advantage gained, other than Elements will get a little bit more farm with the 2 junglers. Never mind, because there's no camps to do for them, so it's pretty much even in this situation.
Yeah, we're back to the fast pushing meta, but it's Fnatic who brought a little more friends to that tower party right now.
Here's the problem though. Look at Fnatic's wave here. There's a lot of minions killing that tower. Unless they get the tower to kill every single minion and reset the whole wave, then it will slowly push up towards Elements. They will get it to just get the last few ones. There we go. Cleared out everything. No real push is gonna happen. And that means also they can go Dragon.
Yes.
Elements just need to do the same. Bounce the wave on the tower. Make sure it kills all of them. So you don't leave a wave for Huni to go up and get, because Wicked obviously has already been stopped as well. He's not getting any minions. You can see Huni's already sitting in the bottom lane. No minions for Wicked to get, purely because Fnatic let the tower kill every single one. You can see Reckless is doing exactly the same. So now Wicked can go top lane, and he can meet the wave here and not get denied any further. Had this been Team Solo mid, they just pushed down the wave, said, Darius, you're on your own, mate.
Pretty much, we'll see what happens with Wicked in the situation as he's up in the top. So, a couple of towers pushed very quickly, but Fnatic, they get the better of that one thanks to the dragon control that they'd already established. Gold's sitting fairly even since nothing, no really confrontations have happened, no skirmishes around the map as it's been fairly passive early game. We're kind of used to expecting that from Elements games, but Fnatic, they're a little bit more aggressive. Let's see what they do now, following up on that one. Elements moving down to the bottom, trying to give Huni a hard time.
So they're basically swapping the lanes now. They want to go for more pushes. What Fnatic is doing is simply saying there's nothing left on the bottom side, so we're going to go and swap our AD carry top lane. Aurelia doesn't have any proper wave clear pre-level 6 when she doesn't have her ulti, so we can very easily push this wave in, get some damage on this tower, and force Shook to show himself to defend the lane with Aurelia if they wanted to prevent the tower from going down, or show himself in the bottom lane and pushing that tower with Reckless and Krepo. Looks like both teams just want to try and mirror each other. So they mirrored each other in the level 1. They did the same for the way they played the swap, and also the way they're playing after the swap now. Keep putting pressure. You see Rek'Sai going top lane. If Shook goes down to bottom lane, he can also take that tower together with Elements. Obviously going to take a little while, because there's no big minion waves being built up.
Rainover's going to chase Wicked all the way out of his lane still. 3 members of Fnatic up on the top, 2 of Elements on the bottom. Looking to do the same thing. It just seems like Fnatic, they have the better numbers in this. They should get it a little bit quicker if they commit to it. Rainover still hanging around the side, so he's not going to go for it just yet. Elements, meanwhile, a little more interested in trying to clear out some of the Fnatic jungle.
Yeah, the main problem is for Elements that Wicked is getting denied, and he's playing Aurelia, who needs to hit that Trinity Force around 15-16 minutes to really become super effective. That's the main problem here. Cho'Gath can obviously still needs his items, but I would rather see an underfarm Cho'Gath than an underfarm Aurelia. And that's where Fnatic in that case is really winning out, and also with that early dragon. Tower should go down in the bottom lane as well very soon. This time around the wave didn't get reset from Fnatic, so that means there's going to be farming. And nice hook on to Rainover.
Prevents the tunnel. Rainover's going down. How about that for first blood?
And this setup here, it's Krepo and Shook together. It was the same yesterday. They're the ones invading and they're the ones looking for the picks. Nice setup here. Notice the play as well from Krepo to deny the tunnel from Rek'Sai. Such a good setup. And the wave up here is pushing down though to Fnatic, so they're still gonna get some farm on Steelback and deny it even more from Wicked.
Elements playing like they mean it right now. They certainly do. Have themselves a little bit of a gold advantage. So continue to try to push down to the bottom. Nice catch on Rainover has netted them that. We'll see now what they can do here. Huni's there to defend. Shook hanging around the side. There's 2 members of Fnatic here though. Waits for the tornado to go. To get in for the steal on the red though.
And if you made these swaps here where you swap around your dual lanes and therefore you pressure on the map, you're just going to see it after Shook. Didn't manage to get the red bow thing. But when you swap to the top side and invest all your wards on the top side, you cannot walk into the jungle like Rek'Sai did before here, because simply you should always expect the enemy team to have full vision in there, and that's why Elements would get that pick once Rek'Sai showed himself or herself in the lane. And that was just a bit of a mistake from Rainover giving that first one, but nice little trade at least in the mid lane.
Still life pretty hard for Wicked in this top lane, a couple levels down against Steelback. All the same, Elements are doing quite well with what they've got so far. Froggen was forced to use his flash in the mid during all the craziness. Febiven had launched the chains on him. Let's see what they can do from here. Fnatic are trying to continue denying his vision. Wicked, uh-oh, he's in trouble. The knockups don't end. Exhaust is down as he blade surges onto Steelback, but can he make his escape? Steelback moving forward for it. Coling is out. He cancels it. Has going to have to dash again, but Febiven is right there, and he cleans him up for a kill.
Simply punishing Aurelia for sitting in the middle of a lane with no tier 1 tower, and obviously no pressure from Elements elsewhere on the map. It's a nice little collapse here from Fnatic, and I think every single member got an assist. And then the kill as well for, I'm lying, poor little Huni didn't get an assist despite teleporting in.
Take a look at that fan vote. Very, very close in this situation. Speaking of close, Froggen, there's a close call for him as well. He is having a little bit of trouble dealing with Febiven right now. Both mid laners have the kill. Half an item apiece. Although it is Froggen who's not quite on the up and up with the farm.
No, he's been falling pretty far behind. We often see LeBlanc have control in the lane pre-6, but not this big of a disadvantage or advantage for her. in terms of farm. You can see Froggen will most likely go for blizzasc2 first. Will obviously shut down their poke a little bit. But FebiVan can just keep controlling this lane here, keep getting some damage on that tower, and that's going to be so important. With the 2 outer turrets gone in the side lanes, it's very easy for Fnatic to push them out and then just walk mid lane, and if the tower's already low, Elements won't be able to defend it, and then you got a quick mid tower for yourself that really opens up the map. Now, Abyssal is completed for Froggen. Should be able to trade a little bit more effective now in the lane.
It's very true. Merlin also picked up for FebiVan. We'll see what happens. Or I think he's going to, at least. He has enough gold. There it goes. It's going to be Elements trying to make a push down the middle. No minions at their back just yet. They're a wave clearing machine. Booney is looking to come up, and so is Rainover. We'll see if they can get a flank on. I don't think that's going to happen. Elements back away.
Wicked is sitting there with the wave on his tower. He didn't even complete the Phage yet. He's still very far behind. Only hit level 6 now on Aurelia. Will try and start it. This is a bit risky. Fnatic is nearby. They're matching them in terms of items. Merlin just completed for FebiVan. Keep dashing in.
And distorting out. Clearing the way.
Mid lane as well here.
Crepo, they got a hook on Yellowstar. There's a charm.
Nice
Oh, they can
hook.
blow him up. Yes, they do. Crepo and all like that. It is a 5v4. Huni trying to get away from this one. Has to burn his flash. A fair amount of damage being tanked by Steelback. Throws down his ultimate. FebiVan able to get away. So despite that kill, Fnatic have still forced Elements back from the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, that was such an important pick from Crepo and Elements there. If he didn't land that hook, mid lane tower or mid tower would have gone down. Steelback already gone back to push it in. Elements were forced to stay around that dragon on the bottom side. So that hook was super important. They're starting it again. Froggen does have ulti, but they're taking a lot of damage from this one.
Oh, hook's not going to connect. Crepo's going down. Now in comes Wicked. He gets a stun off action on the Steelback. Dragon's still alive here. Steelback's going to pick up Wicked, force the heal out of Reckless, and now it's Fnatic who are in a position to pick up this dragon. And they do.
Yeah, Elements already fairly low from before. Get a good pick on Crepo and Wicked, of course, the under-farmed Aurelia. Doesn't really matter too much if he jumps in or not. This mid tower should go down as well. All 5 guys around it. And suddenly Fnatic getting a bit of a goal lead.
Able to grab themselves a turret as well. 2 dragons. Have the goal lead, as you said. It's only 12 minutes into this game, but Elements, you know, that I feel like was a bit greedy to try to both defend and take the dragon, and it cost them.
Yeah, the second dragon attempt, after they'd already been poked quite a lot, made it fairly easy for Fnatic to go in, get the picks. We saw Crepo tried to land the hook on the distortion, but FebiVan jumped a little bit to the side, I believe, and then killed him for it. Now, Wicked needs to just contain and sit in these side lanes. He got a massive wave up here on the top side. It's finally what he needs, because this guy's been denied a lot of farm from Fnatic. And the 3 outer turrets gone. It's going to make it tricky for Elements now to push on this mid lane tower. Because once your own outer turret is gone, if you start grouping and go and push in and then suddenly you get teleported from behind or like you get flanked on, there's no tower for you to run back to. There's a long way back to the tier 2 tower, so it means your wards no longer good enough just to be in the river. You got to move them into the jungle of the enemy team if you want to siege on this mid tower, and Fnatic is nearby, so you can see the flanks happening beforehand. And that's going to be tricky for Elements to get that vision down, considering the fact that LeBlanc is already doing so well, 2 kills. You don't really just walk in and risk face checking FebiVan at this point.
Yeah, you don't want to risk that for sure. It's very dangerous to jump right in front of a LeBlanc. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah. In all likeliness, you'll probably end up dead.
You will die. Pyra, you will die. I mean, you won't, but
someone will.
Hopefully not.
Let's see what Elements can do here. Trying to clear a little bit more vision out. But Rainover's there to clear the pink back. And he can get the regular one if he wants as well. Oh, Boomerang Blade. Taking a little bit of damage, but he should be able to finish that off. Meanwhile, FebiVan hanging out in the tri-brush down bottom. Froggen's not wanting to get anywhere near that, staying close to the shield from his tower. Fnatic still, let's say they're moving around and trying to force Elements back, and not necessarily dictating the pace of the way this mid-game is going, but Elements are allowing this all to happen.
Well, the thing is, Elements can't really do a whole lot at the moment, simply because they don't have deep enough vision. to set up the place. They cannot see where Rek'Sai is coming from. They cannot see if everyone is moving between the jungle. They have this one ward in here, which is going to die now. So Fnatic is just doing a very good job denying that vision from Elements, and therefore saying you have to just sit back and farm at the moment. Allow us to move around the map like we want to, because we have the small lead. Wicked now got some very good farm in that top lane, catching up in CS at least. Still a bit away from that Trinity Force, but not too far away from it now. So getting that massive wave on the top side was very important for Elements.
Absolutely, and once he does get that completed, that should signal Elements to really go full on trying to get the picks where they may. He should have it by about the time the next dragon comes up, or perhaps a little bit before. Sitting on a decent bit of gold right now. And meanwhile, though, Elements still roving 3 here. Try to get some wards. They can't quite get deep and penetrate into that jungle and start clearing out the Rek'Sai tunnels just yet. They're not super confident in their ability to do that safely, and with good reason. But for the time being, they can still muscle themselves around the river and try to keep Fnatic out.
Yeah, at least just trying to get the first layer of wards in the jungle. That allows you to go even further in if you see Fnatic maybe on the other side of the map. Then you walk in and get these wards down here. But Fnatic not giving them any openings. Obviously, Tremor Sense from a Rek'Sai does wonders as well, spotting where they're moving around. But basically, it's just a vision war around this mid lane from both the teams. Elements obviously want to get the wards down so they can start pushing on this tower. Fnatic want to deny it so they can get the flank on Elements. Now finally Shook got down a wall, but there's a good ping already.
It's coming in. Shook is going to put a Sonic Wave out. Krepo flings the hook, but they're not going to connect. He flays Reignover back. Do they want to take this? Krepo's a little bit low.
Is coming up now.
Yeah, I think they think better of that one. Dragon's a minute and a half away, by the way, as Elements make their retreat. Sticking together for the most part in this middle, trying to siege down the mid-turret. They do have quite a lot of wave clear between Froggen and Reckless. Reignover's here, he's got the Praise Seeker going to tunnel over the wall. Steelback spends his culling to push the wave right back against Elements, who head into their own jungle.
Wicked obviously just going to go up and catch the wave here. See if he can get that Trinity Force completed, but it's not like Elements is in a better situation for that next dragon compared to before. February is still extremely strong in these fights here, so we will have the same setup where whoever starts the dragon is in a bit of a disadvantage because it's so close between the teams in terms of power spikes on the compositions and just the items they have completed. It's going to be a very risky fight. Fnatic now got some fantastic deep wards in. Start setting up a trap. When you play LeBlanc or Arya, these assassins here, do this in solo queue as well. It's basically free win for you. If you set up a few wards before the dragon spawns and you have one pink ward in one of the small bushes, sit there and wait at the dragon. You know the enemy team is going to walk into you because the dragon has spawned, and it's so easy for you to create a pick. Chunk someone, force him back to base, or even kill him. That dragon is yours. And that is what Fnatic is going to do now with all these wards they've placed already. They got pink wards on February, and once he goes in, put the pink ward in the small bush here where you see the Skull Crab walking around, and Elements cannot walk into the dragon. But not going to happen for now. They're allowing Elements to get in and clear the wards out.
Yeah, Dragon's live. See what they can do. Shook looking for the chase. He hits Yellow Star, nails him with the Sonic Wave. Fnatic will be the ones to, looks like, clear out the Scuttle Crab. Krepo is going to clear out a tunnel. Trying to keep Fnatic back on this one, but still, a lot of members hanging around. Febvin is pushing the wave in the bottom.
They're trying to trap Elements here and make them feel secure. They can start that dragon, and then you can teleport in behind with all these wards here of Febvin, who's already on the other side of the wall. And you simply just collapse from multiple sides onto Elements, and they won't know what's going on and how they can stop it. So that's what Fnatic is trying to do here. Bottom lane is going to be pushed in. Nobody's there to defend it. Febvin will get at least some damage with the minions here. And you keep seeing how they're standing on multiple sides. Got that pink ward though from Wicked now.
We'll do clear that one away. So Elements 5 strong. It'd still be dangerous to start this one out. Very, very dangerous. They don't know where Febvin is. Racing towards it. They've got to get a pick here to be able to safely do this. Meanwhile, Reignover starting on the red. Elements looking to try and chase down the 3 members of Fnatic in the middle. Ruptures hitting nothing but the ground. Krepo throws the hook out, not going to connect onto Febvin, who goes forward and then back. Shook half his health, gone in the blink of an eye. Not going to be the easiest thing for them to avoid in the future. Oh, as they move to avoid the rupture, it looks like Huni is just going to take a big bite out of Krepo and take him down. Froggen trying to salvage the situation. Febvin is a little bit low. In comes Shook. Out he goes as they still try to keep this one going. Froggen, he has to burn his flash. And him and Shook are full retreat right now. As Krepo's down, the Rupture's going to land, so is the Charm. Sonic Wave on, Froggen collapsed on, Rainover takes him down. That's going to be a Dragon over to Fnatic whenever they want it, and it looks like that's about now.
Such a nice engage here from Fnatic. They could see everything going on. Flash, knock up then from Rainover to start the whole thing. You have the knock up from Huni after Shook. Trying to steal it. Febvin can one-shot it if he walks in.
He doesn't land the Sonic Wave, and Febvin's now chasing him down. Shook! Oh! Febvin gets kicked, but he gets a kill, and they get the Dragon. Fnatic pick up number 3, 20 minutes into the game.
It's not looking good for Elements now here. They're being outplayed simply around these Dragon fights. Fnatic are so good in the mid game at knowing when to engage and which targets they want to focus. You can see how Elements were all trying to get Febvin, like the hooks from Krepo, the Charm over the wall from Froggen as well, all aimed towards the LeBlanc, who simply just stayed back. So fair enough. I'm just going to let the rest of my team do all the work. Still trying to get a pick on Huni now. Thinking about it.
Oh, they get a catch on Febvin. Blue secured as well for Reckless. Febvin's not done with this one just yet. That was a parting shot.
Yeah, LeBlanc is one of the most annoying champions to fall behind against because unlike an Ahri, she's not really too reliant on her ulti in terms of her jumping in and poking, so she can always distortion in, land a bit of poke, jump back. Ahri, if she's going to do that, she has to blow her ulti to get in range for it, and that's a massive cooldown to use. So Febvin can really dictate around these objectives. Elements are back towards this mid lane. They still, well, they got a few deep wards on the right side, so that's okay, but Fnatic will find openings to get a flank. They got so many wards behind.
When he's going to dodge the hook coming out of Krepo, a culling is thrown down by Steelback to force Elements away from this mid tower yet again. Just haven't been able to grab much of anything as much as they've tried. Elements stalling out a little bit here and losing ground to Fnatic, losing gold to Fnatic.
Yeah.
And Dragons.
And just look at the build from Huni. Cooldown reduction focus. So he's not going to be the main carry, but he's going to land all the CC.
He lives through this. On the Hunt was popped. He's surrounded by Elements members as tanky as he was. They were able to collapse on him 5 members strong in the blink of an eye. Fnatic themselves get a little bit faked out there. And now this tower's under siege. Rainover trying to defend, but the tower's already gone.
All right, finally got the mid tower. The nice little pick in the mid lane on Huni. Popping the Sivir ulti. Oh, let's see, Reckless. I think they're gonna come for it. Massive wave on the bottom lane here from Fnatic. If they push up mid, they can go right through the jungle and take it if they want to go for that tower. Seems like they want to look for something else on the top lane. Maybe expecting someone to show up there. Oh,
Rainover, he's gone right back in. Elements just keep trying these plays, and it almost worked again. Rainover, his health is very low. It's going to prompt him to back to base. Febvin, meanwhile, trying to stop Reckless from doing the very same.
And now the wave on the bottom lane is going to be picked up by Wicked. So instead of Fnatic going there after pushing in the mid lane and trying to use the wave, they decided to simply back away. But they're starting a Baron instead. They've done this before many, many times. If you don't have a ward on this Baron in the mid game, they're not afraid to start. The Elements are not reacting. Nobody's getting even close to pinging it now. This Baron, Fnatic's gonna get it down. It's down to now 4k HP.
Monsoon to keep him healed up right here.
Can they get it?
Froggen's coming around the side though. It's already down. It gets smited away and they dodge the charm. Thanks to a flash. And they managed to make it out scot-free. Fnatic pick up Baron 1. 23 minutes in.
Such a classic Fnatic play. They've done it like 4 or 5 times already.
And nobody stops them.
In the LCS. If you forget to have a ward there around these 20-25 minutes, Fnatic will rush it if they see the opportunity. They did the exact same against H2K yesterday. Exactly the same. And that Baron buff should be up as well for when Dragon spawns. Oh no, we'll probably run out of time. But Fnatic at least can set up for that. Get the 4th one. And Elements are suddenly in need of some fantastic picks if they want to come back.
Couple of wards pop down. Still, Elements doing what they can to move around the map and force Fnatic to react to them. But Fnatic are building up a pretty serious lead here. They're 5,000 gold ahead. They have those 3 dragons. Pepivin in particular, quite far ahead here. 303 on this LeBlanc. Froggen's going to try to make a bait play, though. In front of the minions, Charm can't connect that way.
Just looking back as well, Wicked didn't have teleport. So by Fnatic not going to the bottom lane, they allowed him to get the farm, but that opened up for the Baron for them. So honestly, it was just a smart play. Wow,
they knew it there the entire time. And Froggen, he looks like he's going down. That's Pepivin. The last tick of Ignite. They take the tower as well. It was Froggen all along who was baited.
Don't set up a death bush against Fnatic.
Not by yourself, you don't. Teleport coming in for Huni. They're eyeballing the inhibitor turns. Pepivin going in again. Krepo, there's a flash in. Rainover and Steelback tried to finish him off. Weren't able to do it. Tower's going down now. Fnatic rolling on forward. The hook comes in. It only grabs a Baron-empowered minion. Inhibitor's starting to be fired down. They're just clearing elements away. That's inhibitor 1 taken away by Fnatic as they back out. 39 seconds on the next dragon. They're looking great.
Going so fast, Pyro. As soon as they get that lead, they just keep pushing the advantage. They never stop. They obviously knew Froggen was waiting there before and got another kill on him. And really, that setup again around the Baron. Honestly, so super smart. Get Wicked to sit and farm with no TP. Walk in, get a few deep wards, then start the Baron when Fnatic or Elements will split up in 1-3-1. Just great. Use it well, get inhibitor, all you need, 25 minutes in. Dragon is up in a few seconds. Rek'Sai does have ulti if Reyno wants to go back to base first. Otherwise, the rest of Fnatic is nearby for the potential dragon fight. They want to get the 4th one.
That they do. Here comes Pepivin. They're going to try to chase the rest of Elements away. Wicked, he just goes around the side. He's going to get isolated from his team. Burns a flash over the wall. Now Shook being chased away by the rest of Fnatic. Showing some strength here as they look for the dragon. This would be number 4 for them, as you said. One step closer to the aspect, and it was not even contested. Elements are going to try to push down the middle, but it's hard to do that safely. They're going to have to bail out.
Try and go for the top lane instead and get a few wards down. But the wave is already at the tower, and Fnatic is pinging it, so they're ready to follow. Meanwhile, the bottom lane, Super Minions already pushing in.
If Fnatic collapse on this one, Reckless is heading back to base. There's a lot of minions moving up into the bottom side. The rest of Elements are trying to back away. Pepivin, however, has found Wicked. Can he pick him off, however? That is a lot of damage. Shook is there. Febivin's about to find that out, but it doesn't matter. No chance to react. Pepivin picks off another. The rest of Elements back to defend, but now their mid tower stands naked against this onslaught from Fnatic. It's going down, and they're still pushing. 27 minutes into this game. They never stopped once they turned on the gas.
No reason to stop, man. Your mid lane is doing so well. Out-farmed Froggen in the lane, got the early kills, and really this LeBlanc pick here has worked so well. Yosan Shook finding each other. Not really sure Shook can do anything.
I don't think he's going to get out of this one alive. Nope, Steelback is able to pick him off. The Lantern comes in just a skosh too late. Good monsoon use there from Yellowstar. Keeps himself safe, and he knocks Shook back into his team. Elements just scattered to the winds here.
Yeah, and if Elements lose, they're out of playoffs, obviously. Copenhagen Wolves will get that spot despite losing to Giants. And then it's about Rocket and MYM. If Rocket beats MYM, Rocket and Elements will tie and play each other. Loser goes to promotion tournament, winner stays in the LCS. By the looks of it right now, Elements will have to look towards that Rocket game. Hope that MYM wins.
Yeah.
No tiebreaker then.
The question is, though, Fnatic, it's so hard to beat them, especially when you fall behind, but what can Elements do in this situation? What are the ways that they can turn this one around? Because it's starting to look very slim.
Well, again, you're going to have to basically sit in a bush in your jungle and hope for a pick. You still got good pick potential. That's not the problem. It's more the fact that Fnatic has no reason to ever walk in alone and face check at that jungle. If they just walk together, they're so much stronger now. You got the Tremor sense as well, so unless Elements are standing still in a bush with a pink ward, they should not be able to get a pick onto Fnatic. Otherwise, you're going to have to hope for these random things where you maybe steal a Baron. But that, again, is relying on Fnatic making a mistake.
Yeah. Maybe they'll get distracted by the boombox of Huni, who's letting that one play for just a few minutes. Sitting on those 6 stacks. Quite daunting to deal with if you are Elements. And so is this entire team. Feb have been waiting out in the brush. The rest of Fnatic are moving in here. Krepo's going to get, very dangerously close. He lets the Lantern do the face check for him. However, and they don't want to get anywhere near that. They're slowly being squeezed out of their jungle.
Fnatic just doing everything you need to do when you settle that Baron here. Force the enemy team out. If they want to go stop it, they have to run around face checking. That obviously lowers the chance of a steal. And you got the super minions pushing in the bottom lane. This game should be in the back for Fnatic.
It caught Huni, but that's not who you want on a line. Quite the fish to fry. They can't quite do much of anything to him. Fnatic still pushing forward here, wherever they can, just trying to hope that Elements get a little bit curious about what's going on in their jungle. They've got to do something about it. Hook's going to fly, not going to connect. The pink ward should be cleared out, no problem. Hooky gets knocked up by the full range tornado. Featherman goes in, takes a few pot shots, backs away. There's still some minions pushing in the bottom side. All of Fnatic around the side here. Wicked, oh, he's going to throw the ward down.
Smart.
That's a value ward.
Yeah, Fnatic sitting there, so in case the lantern were thrown into the bush, you wouldn't see them.
Baron's up.
Just waiting around here. Baron's up, they got the control. Super minions already pushing in. Reignover looking for some sort of engage here. Elements really gotta get the perfect fight now. Gotta blow up Featherman first.
Or Crepo, he got very low. There's still super minions. Even though the inhibitors respawn, there's at least one of them in the bottom side, pecking away.
They have to send Wicked back to stop it and then just use the teleport. You cannot give that one up for free.
Yeah, but then if you give up the Baron for free, Featherman's still causing them some indecision here. And the Baron's already starting to get fired down. Featherman not even required for this one. As he moves forward, clears out the waves in just a couple of distorts. Baron at half health, no reaction right now.
They're gonna lose Inhib as well. They gotta kill that super minion. No, they lost everything.
They lost it. They lost it all at 31. Another Baron. There's still 4 dragons on the board for Fnatic. Elements cannot catch a break in this game. And here comes the Void Rush for Reignover, right back in the middle of the action.
About a minute's time on Dragon. Why not take that one as well? 5 dragons, Baron buff, super minions. Is there anything else you need?
It's pretty much the shopping list for a successful game, Deficio.
It is indeed, and Fnatic has shown time and time again they know how to close out these games, they know how to get the lead in the mid-game. They look very good going into the playoffs now. Obviously, as number 2, they will face the winner of number 3 versus number 6. Talk about it after, because Huni is trying to flank.
Teleport flank. There's a Rupture 3-man, actually, and he's just taking a big bite out of Reckless. Fnatic, they just decide that they want to end it here and now. Featherman a little bit low, but he's chasing on in. Froggen has got the gold on him, and he's going to be able to get away, but not for long. In comes Steel back, caught on a line, charmed up as well. That won't stop him for long, and Crepo's going down. Only Reckless remains. But I think this is going to be Fnatic looking to end the game at 32 minutes in. They've got the Baron and powered minions to Deficio, and they're pushing down the inhibitors.
Pushing in, so Fnatic is gonna sit as number 2. They got the bye in the playoffs, already in the semi-finals, and they will take this win and deny playoffs from Elements and Reckless.
Absolutely not how it ends for Elements. They, lose Reckless again after all of that insult to injury. The Nexus going down. Fnatic have denied Elements a playoff spot in the spring split.
They just keep showing they have so many different champions to play the same kind of style, but it's so effective. Full focus, as soon as we hit 20 minutes, you turn on the power, you look for these big team fights here, and they just do it better than the other team. So Elements try and tango around that dragon, but every time they did, it was in favor of Fnatic, one way or the other. Got the kills, got the dragons, 5 dragons in the end. Hawks all around, Hawks for Reckless, of course, from Yellow Slays. All support.
Oh yes. It just comes down to better execution from Fnatic. Elements didn't have enough of a chance. Fought valiantly, but they lost.
The smart, quick decisions for Fnatic when it comes to these early Barons. Again, that setup, having a big wave in the bottom lane that Wicked went down to take with no teleport, seeing Froggen in the top lane sitting in a wave as well, so they know where every single one is from, where every single play is from Elements. But obviously, disappointed. I mean,
it's a rough result.
Elements would have expected more, but you can't just look at this one game and say, oh, this is where they lost playoffs. No,
it's not.
They lost playoffs over the entire season. There were some of the games where they should have been able to close it out. There was a Giants game where they were 9k gold ahead, lost Baron, lost the game. Copenhagen Wolves, 2 inhibitors down, Baron 5 dragons, didn't manage to close it out, lost the last team fight at 67 minutes and lost the game. Every single one of those could have given that one win more than needed to tie the Wolves, and play for that playoff spot.
Yeah, and with that now, Fnatic, they've helped the Copenhagen Wolves clinch the 6th and final postseason spot. So we're going to take another look at the playoff picture, the way it stands. We've been talking about it all day, but H2K, Unicorns of Love, Gambit, the Copenhagen Wolves, seeding's yet to be decided for them, but they are all in the playoffs. And now, down just below that, Rocket can catch Elements in 7th place if they win versus Meet Your Maker.
Can, and tied him, and then we played it after the games today. Obviously, Meet Your Makers need to win to stay in the LCS, so that game is going to be absolutely insane. But first, we got Gambit SK Gaming.
That's true.
SK Gaming doesn't really play for anything. They're locked in as number 1.
Gambit playing for the seeding.
Gambit playing to see if they can catch H2K and maybe tie them for 3rd place, because then you will be facing the Copenhagen Wolves in the first quarterfinal instead of either Unicorns or, of course, Gambit.
Oh, yes, of course. Now, for a look at Fnatic's win over Elements, we're going to kick it back to Shocks and Stress to break that one down.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, as we are also joined here by Quickshot to break that one down. This is the first time since the inauguration of the LCS that a reigning champion does not make it into the playoffs. The subsequent season, that's not an easy one, but in Elements it has really been a tale of the entire split for them.
It really has. Deficio said it best right at the end of that matchup. Yes, this was the game that absolutely cost Elements their chances, but it has been a disappointing split for the entirety of the year. Constantly dropping games. They had all of those roster shuffles, Nif going to coach, Wicked out, Kevin in, Kevin out, Wicked back. None of the players or team play ever settled into a routine. There is still hope. You know, if the team does manage to make it into the summer split, they can win that, still get their ticket to the World Championships, but it is a much more difficult road.
That indecisiveness and up and downs in me was also reflected in the picks and bans in this one as well. Not a really clear plan. A couple of strange things come out, or strange. The Cho'Gath for the 2nd time, this time top. Yesterday we saw it mid. How come all of a sudden here in Europe we've seen him twice in a row?
I have no idea. You know, yesterday we saw Unicorns run it. Today, Fnatic throw in the top lane. Lissandra was available. And I just think to myself, what does Cho'Gath give you that Lissandra does not? Why would you run that champion? You know, super high cooldowns. Yes, there's true damage. Yes, there's HP. But I just wonder what's going through the mindset. It's not been particularly successful in LPL, and it raises more questions than it answers.
Yeah, it does raise a lot of questions, and it's an obscure pick. It's had some success. We saw it in the North American LCS. It throws your opponent laner off guard. In this case, I kind of feel like when we look at yesterday's games, when we look at today's games, both teams are already locked into their playoff spots. Yeah. I don't want to say that the only reason they were playing Cho'Gath was because they were trying a few things, but certainly we haven't seen Cho'Gath really in make or break games. He has a lot of health and a fair amount of damage. He's awkward to play against, but he's not certainly one of the top tier, either top or mid laners.
Yeah, and I think it's fair. I mean, you've got an AoE silence, an AoE knockup. Yes, it is what, like 8-9 seconds on the Q and 10-12 seconds on the W mid to late game. But I'd love to talk to the teams and find out more why they're picking these things. You know, we saw some weird and wonderful picks we kept talking about at playoffs. It just throws that spanner in the works. Was it good enough to ban? Should we be scared of it? Do we play against it in best of fives?
Yeah, I mean, that's another little point there, but it was Huni that played it.
Yeah.
Huni's a player that, you know, is having a lot of fun here in Europe as well. Everybody's loving him for his Rumble, for, you know, now his Cho'Gath. Maybe we'll see that banned in the playoffs. Maybe it's another fear tactic out of Fnatic.
A little bit of a mind game, but be it as it may, he still made it work, or they've made it work as a team. Turning to the side of Elements, a couple of things in there. The Aurelia for Wicked, kind of his fallback, love of his life champion there. And the Lee Sin for Shook coming out when I think there would have been better things available, knowing that Rek'Sai is banned in. Maybe go for that tank jungler, knowing that you want to pressure early, but it wasn't enough when Fnatic turned it on.
And that's been one of the biggest problems here for Elements. Patch after patch, they've struggled to adapt, and 5.5 was the biggest real meta change that we've had in a very long time. They were reluctant to run a tank jungler. They've been reluctant to run tank top laners when it hasn't been Maokai. And, you know, they've been kind of forced onto almost second-tier picks. They're still strong on champions like Ahri, but, you know, they just haven't, as a team, brought their whole composition up to the top tier of current picks.
Yeah, and I also think with this particular team composition, Elements put quite a clear focus on the skirmish in the pick game with the Ahri, with the Thresh, you know, even Sivir to initiate, catch somebody off guard, and then proceed to take objectives. If you go look at the play of this particular match during the second Dragon, where Crepo was unable to catch Febiven, I feel that was a big turning point, because had Febiven been taken out, Elements could have got that Dragon despite it being a risky call, and they could have regained some map presence. But unfortunately, their pick-heavy style, when not finding picks, just got pulled apart by Fnatic and the more versatile team composition.
Yeah, and Febevan in special also went on a complete tear on his LeBlanc in this one.
Yeah.
So taking a step back here for Elements, they come into this day, they see Giants beating the Wolves in that very first game of the day. The spirits run high. You got to keep your eye on this match, and then you get beaten quite hard by Fnatic, and now you got to wait and possibly play a tiebreaker versus Roccat to get that 7th place spot. How will that work in their mindset, knowing that they completely have to reset?
Yeah, I think the question for the team is where do their objectives lie? Where are they visualizing? Because Crepo has said many times, his tweets recently last week saying how he wants to be on a team that is going to Worlds. He wants to be on a Worlds contender. As long as the team is all on that same page, they play their hearts out to lock in that 7th position. Guarantee they buy a month and a half to practice, to train, to adapt, which is something, as Stress highlighted, they've not done. If they are not on that same page and they don't win a tiebreaker, or they go to a promotion tournament and have to requalify, that's when you're going to see even more cracks showing through.
At the same time, neither team really is going to breathe a deep sigh of relief after a 7th place game, because neither Roccat nor Elements coming into this would have ever thought that they were in 7th, and they won't be happy. It'll be a teeny little consolation prize to stay in, but both are going to be unhappy.
Yeah. They'll both not be what they've expected.
No, it's not. It's actually interesting. You mentioned the beautiful line. First team to win a split to not requalify for the subsequent split. Copenhagen Wolves, this will be the first time they're not in the promotion tournament.
Great point.
Thanks to Elements' loss, Copenhagen Wolves have had to requalify for every LCS split. And we had a storyline at the beginning saying how Copenhagen Wolves play better in promotion tournaments than they have in the regular season. They'll still need to find some more oomph going to the playoffs now that we know who the top 6 teams are.
Yeah, and that's also actually the best position they've ever been in since they had the Fisho on the team, so they can only go up.
That says a lot.
That says a lot. Well, as the teams get ready for our next match, we're going to check in with you guys at home. Earlier today, we asked you who is your MVP of the Spring Split and why, and you had a lot to say. Our first tweet is from @JonasKrabbe. The MVP of the Spring Split is definitely God-given, living up to the hype that is the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, I mean, he started the season out a lot better than he's kind of ended it. He's still as good as he has been, but, IEM was a bit of a road bump for him. People started to figure out exactly how he plays, what he plays, not a lot. And, they started putting him onto different champions. I mean, it's fair. SK really struggled at IEM when they had 3 champions banned and picked away from them, but he has been constantly putting in good games. That's the key thing, is when he has been on those champions, he's been completely fighting the battles for SK.
Yeah, he's actually been picking some other champions, even when his beloved Graves was on the table to show us all what he's worth. Our second tweet is from @SaberWolf. It's got to be Kasing. He came in and completely turned around what looked like a relegation-bound team, and that deserves credit. The magic seems to have run out.
It does, just a little bit.
A little bit.
I was actually all aboard the H2K hype train for the longest time. I may be departing that train. They've still got another game to see if I'm on board, but yeah, H2K slowly falling apart. Kasing's still a strong player, had great games. It's a little unfair to just say yesterday's performance is judging him. And just as an aside, I think that's an I, Saber Wolf. We hear from him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's not. I'm just saying to our script.
Good eye.
But I think it's actually a little bit unfair on H2K as a team. We've always talked about the sum of their parts, and a big part of that has been Prolly. Nothing to take away from Kasing. He's a good friend of mine, but I think Prolly has had so much to do with that team's turnaround. So I think it's kind of a dual MVP coming out of H2K.
Definitely. We'll see what they can do here in their further matchup. Our last tweet is from @CreeperMK. My spring MVP is Yellowstar for the way he built the new Fnatic and kept it in 2nd place, and also his play style the best, echoing what Daylor said here on the desk. Bora, turning up season after season, will he make it to the World Championships again?
I think they will. I'm quite confident in that. They've got even more time to grow as a team. Yellowstar did with Fnatic what Froggen was unable to do with Alliance and Elements. This is a guy who built a successful team in one split, and I'm very excited to see how he continues to grow with the squad.
And the key difference there is nobody thought he could do it. At the beginning of the season, everyone was like, man, Fnatic's a sinking ship. They're going down. It's all aboard the Elements hype train.
Definitely.
And, it never pulled out of the station. Fnatic have been on fire.
You could also argue the fact they had no pressure may have allowed them to play that way.
They didn't look it up before the season either. They just laid low, they practiced, and they exploded onto the split here. Well, we appreciate you guys adding to the conversation, so be sure to stay in touch the entire show by tweeting @LL Esports and using that hashtag LCS. Now, for now, we need to take a break, but we'll be back in just a few minutes with a clash between Gambit and SK Gaming, so stay with us.
too bad.
No, it is bad.
Is your
That's
mic
why
very
nobody
far
does
away,
it.
Mike? Because
No,
everybody else
my
is...
microphone is fine, but I can put it in my mouth if you want, just for you.
Yeah, that's better.
Do you like this in my mouth?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Hook's not going to connect. Crepo's going down. In comes Wicked. He gets a stun off action on Steelback. Dragon's still alive here. Steelback's going to pick up Wicked.
He's here. I'm going to push him.
Okay, really good.
I'm so good, Patrick. I'm so good. I predicted that he was in there.
Yeah, I knew. Teleport flank. There's a Rupture 3-man, actually, and he's just taking a big bite out of Reckless. Fnatic, they just decide that they want to end it here and now. Fnatic have denied Elements a playoff spot in the spring split.